Welcome to the Explainer, everyone. Today, we're going to dive deep into a genuinely brilliant, physics-based tactical breakdown of the Hall of Storm's boss raid. I am so excited for this one. If you're the kind of person who absolutely loves dissecting complex combat scenarios, analyzing tactical positioning, and seeing exactly how real-world science can be practically applied to overcome seemingly impossible fictional odds, well, you are in for an absolute treat today. We are taking a really close look at that intense confrontation from the Dreamweaver series, specifically the battle against the lightning basilisk Tyrannus. This isn't just a regular fight, it is a masterclass. It's a masterclass in how truly understanding the fundamental mechanics of your environment can instantly turn the tide of a completely unbeatable encounter. So let's get right into it. Here is our quest log for today's Explainer. We'll start with the Dream Knight lineages revealed. Then move on to the rules of the playfield, the immortal lightning basilisk, the flawed initial strategy, the science of lightning, and finally, a tactic simply called Blue Means Stop.
Section 1. Dream Knight lineages revealed.
Okay, let's dive right into this first phase, because honestly, before the battle even physically begins, Fenrir delivers this massive, game-changing revelation. You see, family ties in this universe, they aren't just there for background flavor text. They actively dictate team synergy and historical duty. Notice how San, Concordia, Mitsuki, and Arlene, they are actually all distant cousins. It fundamentally ties the houses of Atlas, Hound, and Wolf together. Fenrir reveals that Arlene's family line stretches way back into the Dream Knight houses of the Wolf and Atlas. And it gets even more mind-blowing for the team. Concordia and Mitsuki, they're distant cousins to San on their father's line. In fact, Mitsuki's mother is actually the twin sister of San's mother, Aunt Ai. Now, you might be wondering, why does all this family history matter tactically? Well, it's because the House of the Wolf and the House of the Hound exist specifically to act as and to guard the senses of the other Dream Knight houses. They are biologically and historically designed from the ground up to watch each other's backs in these exact types of high-stakes scenarios.
This shared lineage adds this fantastic, palpable layer of gaming rivalry and tension between the cousins right before they step through the door into the next hall. I mean, think about it. When San realizes his great gaming rival, Concordia, is actually family, he gets incredibly flustered. It just flips his entire worldview upside down. And then Concordia drops this brilliant line. She just looks at him and says, "What are you getting so worked up about, San? Sibling rivalry is a natural facet of life." It's such a great lighthearted character moment to break the tension, but don't let the humor fool you. As Kieran specifically notes right around this moment, they absolutely cannot bring any genuine animosity into their battle style. The stakes are way too high, and their enemy will instantly capitalize on any internal division or emotional weakness.
Moving on to Section 2. Rules of the playfield.
So, once they finally push open those large doors to the Hall of Storms, they don't just walk into some standard flat arena. The actual geography of the room dictates the entire strategy of the raid from the very first second. On one side, we have what the team jokingly dubs Dad Zone. This is a safe half of the field featuring a totally calm atmosphere, lush vegetation, and rivers. But on the exact opposite side, separated by this massive, terrifying surge of lightning, is the Weaver of Calamity Zone. This is an area of raging storms and immense immediate danger. Cyan realizes immediately that this is fundamentally an issue of elemental affinities. Characters like Ariel and Celes simply lack the heavy Earth-type insulation required to survive the storm for even a few seconds. So they absolutely have to stay behind in Dad's zone to provide crucial support. We're talking utilizing Saito's flame to boost abilities, or using Ariel's blaze to nullify incoming curses. Cyan uses a really clever sports analogy here to explain this concept to Saito. He says that if everyone crosses into the danger zone at once, they will literally be fouled. It's just like scoring a goal from outside the designated throw zone in a sport. It simply doesn't count and leaves you totally vulnerable. They need to keep at least one foot firmly anchored in the safe playfield to maintain a battle style that the enemy cannot instantly capitalize on.
As San, Mitsuki, and Concordia bravely march out of the safe zone and into the storms, heavily insulated by Concordia's Earth and Kraken Andromeda shelter mode, by the way, they are greeted by a highly sinister taunt from the Weaver of Calamity. And this perfectly sets the life or death stakes of the encounter. The voice just mocks them. It notes that their parents fought here at their exact age, and it twists the whole concept of history, claiming that knowledge of the past always leads to caution. Such caution serves but to hinder Lord Zanbong Far's goals. It's just an incredibly intense psychological opening move. The boss is deliberately trying to get into their heads, designed to siphon their fear and hesitation, to literally fuel the enemy's strength before a single blow is even struck.
Section 3. The Immortal Lightning Basilisk.
Okay, so what exactly are our heroes up against here? Because this isn't some run-of-the-mill boss you can just run up to and punch until its health bar goes to 0. It requires deep systemic analysis. Using the Libra system, San pulls up the stats to identify their foe, the lightning basilisk, Tyrannus, and the data reveals a truly terrifying reality for the team. The boss stat explicitly reads immortal. Yeah, immortal. Furthermore, the Leo system extra sensors warn of a debilitating aerial field attack, specifically known as an aerial shockwave, that stuns on impact and is flagged by the system as potentially lethal. Tyrannus is a highly mobile serpent made entirely of pure lightning energy. San explicitly warns the team here. This is a classical stun-type boss. You cannot get hit, not even once, and you absolutely cannot try to punch it with bare fists without heavy earth-type augmentation. San has to use his Cape of Seal's polar mode just to be able to deflect its lunges safely. It's an incredibly delicate defensive situation.
Let's look at Section 4, the flawed initial strategy.
Naturally, the team's initial instinct is to try and simply immobilize the storm before it strikes them, but Mitsuki's plan has a massive geographic flaw that almost costs them everything. When you are dealing with a highly mobile aerial threat, your standard crowd control spells can easily backfire. Mitsuki prepares to use a torrential gravitational push, attempting to essentially weigh the serpent down and crush it against the floor, but San correctly realizes a fatal issue. Because the flying basilisk is moving so rapidly and is currently overlapping their vertical position on the field, it's right above them, Mitsuki's gravitational field spell would crush the team right alongside the boss. You literally cannot drop a localized black hole on an enemy that is hovering directly over your own head. That is a recipe for a full party wipe. So they need to lure it to a part of the field where none of the team is standing. This requires San to take a massive risk. He has to fly out, taunt the beast, and go toe-to-toe with an immortal lightning storm to reposition it.
Which brings us to Section 5, the science of lightning. So the absolutely crucial point here is figuring out how to actually stop this thing. The solution isn't just hit it harder with bigger magic. It's deeply rooted in actual real-world physics. Notice on this slide how the Libra system's extra sensors flag a strange alternate weakness, frost. Now, Earth making sense against wind, sure, we get that in typical elemental matchups, but I was initially completely baffled by this. How does cold temperature hurt an immortal being made of pure electricity? Well, through a telepathic link, Kieran gives San a vital clue. He reminds him that lightning typically takes the path of greatest conductivity. It isn't just moving randomly through the sky, it's actively utilizing invisible pathways in the air that are highly conductive.
And this right here is where the magic in the series transforms into real-world science. Using his Cape of Seal's aerial mode to infuse the air with moisture and wind, San is able to visually map out the currents of the air. He realizes the basilisk is exclusively moving through currents where ionization is the greatest, and ironically, these specific paths are always the hottest pockets of air. Here is the actual literal science of what's happening. Heat agitates the atoms in the air, causing them to move incredibly rapidly. As they move and bump around, they rub against one another and exchange electrons, triggering a process called ionization. This ionization creates a highly conductive path for electricity. Lightning, by its very nature, will always follow this path of least resistance. Therefore, logically, if you can cool down the atoms of the air, you drastically diminish that atomic agitation. You literally interfere with the ionization process itself. By chilling the environment, you destroy the conductivity that the lightning fundamentally requires in order to move. It's absolutely brilliant.
Section 6. Blue means stop.
Armed with this brilliant scientific revelation, the entire dynamic of the battle shifts. It transforms from a desperate, frantic brawl into a highly controlled scientific experiment. Which brings us to the ultimate question of this intense raid breakdown. When you are faced with an immortal foe that is infinitely faster than you, deadlier than you, and thrives on the very air around you, how do you stop it?
The answer is so beautifully simple. You don't try to overpower the storm. Instead, you manipulate the environment to change the fundamental rules of the physics at play. You change the traffic lights. San realizes that the basilisk has basically been flouting traffic regulations left and right, exploiting those hot ionized pathways of the sky to zoom around unchecked. To beat it, San and Concordia have to literally become the traffic cops of the battlefield.
So, what do? San and Concordia begin to diffuse massive amounts of cold air directly into the atmosphere. They are literally, physically slowing down the ionization process. For this lightning serpent, red means go, That's the hot air, the rapid atomic agitation, the high conductivity. But blue means stop. The cold air, the slowed atoms, and the disrupted ionization. They are actively closing off the basilisk's conductive pathways in real time, effectively throwing up a massive blue traffic light right in front of a speeding elemental car. The basilisk's movement suddenly stutters, its pathways completely cut off by the rapid, sudden drop in ambient temperature.
Stripped of its tremendous speed and its preferred conductive pathways, this once completely untouchable boss is left entirely vulnerable in midair. With the storm stalled out, it takes exactly just one, perfectly timed augmented earth dropkick from San right to the serpent's head to intercept the boss and knock it entirely out of its flight path. It's such a satisfying tactical payoff.
And because San's dropkick grounded the boss far, far away from the team's overlapping position, that fatal flaw in their initial strategy is completely resolved. Mitsuki is finally unequivocally clear to unleash her most devastating attack without any fear of friendly fire. She activates the torrential push of the moon's gravitational force, version black hole. A tremendous, overwhelming downward pull rams the immobilized basilisk into the ground, completely and utterly crushing the immortal serpent under the immense pressure of localized gravity.
As the dust settles, San folds his arms, smirks, and delivers just a fantastic final one-liner. He says, "When you walk the streets, obey the traffic signs." It's cheesy, yes, but it perfectly encapsulates the entire fight. It's a triumphant moment that proves exactly how understanding the basic science of heat, ionization, and conductivity neutralized an otherwise totally unbeatable magical foe. They didn't just hit the boss until its health bar depleted. They intelligently dismantled the underlying physics that allowed it to exist in the first place. As we conclude this explainer today, it really leaves us with a truly fascinating thought to chew on. In the face of totally overwhelming odds, San didn't panic, and he didn't just swing his sword harder. He stopped. He analyzed the elemental environment, he looked at the atoms, he looked at the heat. And it makes you wonder, how often is pausing to look at the absolute fundamental mechanics of a problem the ultimate secret to overcoming it? What real-world principles could be the hidden key to defeating the seemingly impossible boss fight standing in your way right now? Think about that as you face your own daily raids this week. Keep analyzing, keep learning, and I will absolutely see you in the next explainer.